Hello and happy Magic Monday to you. Welcome to day 6 of this free 12 days and 12 ways to have a stress-free holiday period where peace of mind is at the fore, and of course love for whatever arises. And if you are a HSP or a sensitive, and perhaps you are really feeling this sort of anxiety coming up in you as we sort of look at this way of gift giving, then today is for you. Hi Rochelle, as we kind of approach this zenith of this holiday season and the dark day of the year in the hemisphere on 21/12, the solstice. I've certainly been feeling it's becoming increasingly more important to take time to slow down, push pause on the world, put your screens aside, and really turn inward and ask, what would love do here? What would fill me up, fill my well right now? Because the things that we typically reach for this time of year, often out of pressure, are not filling us up and are certainly not filling up our well. Everywhere you look, I've just come back from the high street, and it is frantic and frenetic, and the consumption in all forms, when it originates from a place of trying to sort of fill up, right, erase these empty spaces. It doesn't fill us up. It makes us feel more disconnected and quite honestly a lot more anxious about the holidays. So just notice where you may be staying really, really busy and joining the sort of moving walkway of the pace of the culture right now, that increasing speed with every day that gets closer to Christmas, and that, spending time in avoidance, depending on what your attachment style is, drowning, like kind of disconnecting from the world by putting your face in your screen time. It's not really filling you up either. And I know how difficult it can be this time of the year. And really love giving, and not for any other reason than giving makes me feel really, really happy. And growing up in a household where we didn't get pocket money and there wasn't a lot of extra money lying around, and I think my mother was really an incredible example of giving from the heart. I can remember spending hours and hours, sketching with my pencil and making cards for my mother, and, painting rocks and wrapping them up in recycled wrapping paper, as being enough. She always expressed such joy, and in fact I should dig in her cupboard because I know she kept a lot of those handmade cards and things that I made for her as a child. But if you find the sort of idea of gift giving brings up a certain amount of dread for you, hi Andrea, lovely to see you here, and please post in the comments, how do you handle that sort of anxiety or pressure of the obligatory gifts that have to be given out to people, and how do you feel about receiving gifts that when you get them you just kind of know that it didn't come from love, it came from a place of giving for the sake of giving, because that was what was expected of holidays like Christmas or birthdays or any other sort of time of year. I'm going to share with you, 4 ways that I kind of lean into, especially when I find myself getting triggered by those pressured feelings from the people around me that they have to give me a gift, or that they're kind of wondering how they're going to give gifts when there is perhaps not the money or the resources to do that. And just to come back to the heart of, the greatest gift that I believe that we can all give is the one of being present. So depending on your love language, quality time is very important to me. So the greatest gift that I believe that anyone can give to me, and the gift that I need to practice giving, right, as well as receiving, is being present. I have my daughter flying in tomorrow, and it's certainly coming up for me is, how am I going to meet my own unrealistic expectations of what I am wanting to get out of spending really good, precious quality time with her. And another thing that sort of provoked today's intuitive little love note is recently I went to a baby shower for a friend, and in the card, handmade, of course, I wrote that if I could package up patience and love and support, I would give of that as generously as I possibly could, because these intangibles are the things that I think that all new parents really need, and I think it's something that we all want in that space of safety, connection, and belonging. When you really think about it, we don't want stuff to fill up homes and our lives with. We want to fill ourselves with the experience of feeling fully alive and being deeply happy and appreciated and seen and heard and loved for who we are. And they're gifts that I wish that I could give to everyone. But in regards to the baby shower, since I couldn't package those things that couldn't be bought, I played along and wrapped up a lovely little swaddle blanket that I had crocheted, by the way, and some baby toys, hoping that the patience and the love and the support would be woven into every stitch that I crocheted in that blanket, and molded into those silicone parts so they'll find it all on their journey as new parents. And as I was sort of sitting down to speak to you today about gift anxiety as it relates to the holiday gift giving and receiving, something along those sort of lines was bubbling up to the surface of, how much are we trying to package up love or forgiveness or even time, time lost, or the regret of not doing things differently. And just like with trauma, though we can't change what's happened to us, we can certainly transform through it. And I get, how many times, I suppose, we're tying on bows of I'm sorry, or I love you, or please forgive me, or do you love me? And how much are we wrapping up things because we can't or don't know how to, or are terrified, really scared to give what we're really wanting to give, not to mention the world blasting messages that we have to buy. And we all know, we can't buy happiness. It's kind of that old cliche of, don't tell me you love me, show me how much you love me in the daily simple actions of day-to-day life with our loved ones. And another question of, what happens when we have the presents on our lap with those expectant eyes on our faces, waiting for us to beam only our biggest smile, when what we're really feeling is something so different inside, when someone gives us a gift. And when we're anxious, I think a big part of the reason why is because we're afraid. And it goes back to those primary sort of core foundational roots on our nervous system of feeling safe, right? Feeling safe enough to express our love, feeling safe enough to be who we came here to be, and not get caught up in the fear of anxiety, of judgment, of not reaching somebody else's standards, or comparing our insides to somebody else's outsides. And I think that when we're anxious, it's really harder when we think we shouldn't be that way. So what could I possibly be afraid of when it comes to giving and receiving presents, you might be saying, and what's wrong with me for feeling this way? And I just want to remind you that there's nothing, my beloved, darling soul sisters and brothers, there's nothing wrong at all with any of it. And yesterday, being with my family, my sisters, being back in the fold, I've missed my family deeply, being so far away from them, and now I'm here, and my nieces and nephews have all been flying in, so we had a big full house and a beautiful Sunday lunch yesterday. And I could feel a little bit of trepidation and anticipation around my daughter arriving tomorrow. And on top of that, I think I was really starting to feel the collective anxiety in the room around the dread and expectation of gift giving, and what is enough. And when I asked my mom about it afterwards, if she gets anxious around gift giving, and watching her as I was asking this question, getting so much delight in pouring her words of appreciation into little cards and gifts of homemade marmalade and beautiful biscuits that she's been hand painting for weeks and weeks on end, and really putting so much thought into these beautiful acts of kindness wrapped up in gift wrap. She said yes, she still does get anxious. And when I asked her, was it an anxiety in general, or was it only with certain people? She said she feels most anxious with her grandchildren, with us, because she's afraid that we won't like what she gives us or gives them. And she's afraid as the recipient that she perhaps won't react the way we might want her to, that somehow that she'd be letting us down in her response. And maybe you can relate to feeling afraid when you give gifts to your loved ones, that they actually won't like what you've given them. I know I certainly have those moments, and I think the most common dilemma of that said person wanting to please you and to be honest. Do I as the recipient be honest and say I don't like something, or do I push down what I'm feeling so that the other person doesn't feel my disappointment, or I don't get to upset or hurt your feelings. And I share this dilemma fully, and I know now more about why when I was kind of meditating on this morning. And I think for me, again, I'd love to hear your insights on it, is that when you can see the love, right, swirling around all of us as we sort of exchange presents on Christmas. For us, we do that on Christmas morning. And, this one wants to make me happy, and I want to make that one happy. And our gift exchange is very much rooted in love. And that's what I was getting to in my point earlier about all the intangibles getting wrapped up with the stuff, that there's more than the concrete gift we're either giving or receiving. When someone I love gives me a present, I know that he or she is also wrapping it in paper made of longing, that he or she's handing me a piece of her heart and then tying it up with a beautiful big bow made of hugs. And the same is for me. So that fear of not liking the thing has more to do with the fear of, as I said before, those basic primary needs of connection and belonging, that we're afraid of being rejected, or we're afraid that we're not enough, right? That the present isn't enough, it's not big enough. But we're actually talking about the intangible, not the physical present. I hope this is making sense. But I know, for example, that my mother or daughter or friend is giving me her love in the form of a present. And can I, if I don't like it, separate that love from the physical item? Can I say I don't like it, yet still receive the love that she's given me? And can I, if she's like, doesn't like what I've gotten her, still stay open-hearted, even if disappointed, and know that my love and my vulnerability hasn't been, smacked away from her? I've been, really spending some time on getting quiet and present with these questions. Excuse the pun, but I know that this isn't easy, this sort of staying open. It's kind of like rubbing lemon juice in an open wound when we're being vulnerable. But it's probably the best and fastest way to cut through that anxiety and that stress as it relates to giving and receiving. So I invite you today to just ask yourself, if you're busy doing last minute gift giving, shopping, what else is contained within the present that you will be giving to someone that you love? And just connect with that. That's where the love lies, even if you're at odds with whomever gifts are being exchanged, or who you think you need to give gifts to, or where you're kind of buying into the lack and the scarcity and the can't afford, and that someone's asking for something more substantial, and you're in the past, perhaps as empaths or HSPs, bought into that you have to go into debt over Christmas in order to reach that validation of acceptance, or not be judged as a Scrooge or mean, or something else that really isn't true. Because at the end of the day, all we want is to feel the presence of love, and ask, what would love do here with whatever it is that you're choosing? How can you package up love in a way that the person feels that in your giving? So gosh, how do you work through some of these other layers that might possibly be contributing to the anxiety you might be experiencing this time of the year in your gift giving? And again, it comes back to what I said in the beginning. I think that the first step is to really slow down and get curious. Listen for the current of your life, and allow the answer for each to sort of bubble up from below. Don't go digging. Instead, let it sort of rise up. I always know that I have no rules as far as gift giving goes, and I'm always open when I'm in my adventures and exploring new places and spaces, that oftentimes I'll just see something, I'm like, oh, Debbie would love that, or oh my gosh, I'd love to get that for somebody. So it doesn't have to be some cultural justification of a birthday or a special occasion to give generously of your time and your resources and your love all the time. Don't hold back just because other people don't do it the same way that you do. And think about children when they're little babies that kind of get that first box on their first birthday or their first Christmas, and they tear all the paper off, and they open the box and they throw the present aside, and they get so much joy out of playing with the wrapping paper, and they're really exploring the box and the paper, just like cats love boxes, no matter how big they are. They're fully engaged with all their senses in every aspect of it. The gift in itself is totally insignificant to them because they feel the love. And I think that's what we pick up as children, and we forget. It's programmed out of us afterwards, especially if we're comparing or trying to keep up with the Joneses. So I guess the first one of today's little keys to help you to just anchor in and release some of the anxiety around gift giving is to just let go of any expectations and shoulds. Take an inventory of your expectations. Make a list of anything and everything that pops in your mind around giving and receiving. And the reason I start here is that before we can change anything on the outside, we have to first know what lives inside. Right? It's not in what's that ad for Cremora or something where it says it's not what's inside, it's not what's on top, it's inside, or something. I think I totally screwed that up, but just think it's better to replace beliefs than it is to layer the good stuff on top of the band-aiding. We need to get to the root core of where we feel like we're not enough, or we're not fine, or we're not heard. And that happens at the level of the nervous system. And of course, your attachment style, your primary love language. So ask yourself, what are your expectations of yourself and others in regards to giving and receiving? What are others expecting of you, whether they'd agree or not? And what is your family culture around giving and receiving? Do you feel anxiety with everyone, or only with certain people in certain settings? And why is that? So spend some time journaling about that and get really curious, because it's going to give you a lot of insight into allowing yourself to feel the love and be vulnerable and give generously over the holiday seasons, rather than getting triggered by all of this stuff. If this is hard, go back and listen to this again, but ask yourself things like, when it comes to gift giving, I should act or feel or be, and fill in the gap. And when it comes to receiving gifts, I should blah, 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 blah. Or you could also do this around specific people. Like when it comes to buying gifts for my mother or my partner or my child, I should. And stop shooting yourself out of staying true to your heart and giving what you find is valuable based on your love language and the love language of those that you're giving to. The second thing is to really get clear on what you're telling yourself about yourself and others, right? All the stories that you're carrying that are probably holding you back from giving and receiving to the full capacity that your heart and your soul's urge are asking you to do. I think often our anxiety can be signaling that we're believing a very false message, and it's frustrating, it's agitating, it's stirring things up in you. So write out your stories, around the holidays, what Christmas means to you, what gift giving means to you, and find the lies, the untruths, and the manipulations, and replace them with what is true for me in this moment. And always coming from what would love do here with this truth. So, for example, a common one that I hear, especially when I'm working with people and their money stories, is that people will think that I'm ungrateful if I don't act super excited when opening a present from them. And, the truth of the matter is, energetically, nonverbal communication, body language never lies. So I think that, people always see the truth. They see the lie of what they're trying to make true. And the truth of the matter is that there are so many ways to show gratitude and appreciation and love. And super excited isn't my way. I can express gratitude in my way, as only I do. And I invite you to do the same. The other thing, the third thing is to look at your values. Where is your moral compass, and where have you kind of wandered off the path of your magnetic north? 2020 is really calling us, and we've been doing so much preparation leading up to the end of this year of rising up out of the old lies, lines, and manipulations of the old patriarchal way of commercialism being one of them. So how can you explore your values in the context that will help you connect with your core desires and your truth of who you're being, especially around your loved ones? Because when our choice and behaviors are out of alignment with our values, that moral compass gets a little shattered. This is going to create a lot of anxiety and frustration too going forward. So an example of that could be, spending when you're trying to pay off debt. I see this often when people are planning weddings, and they're willing to go into debt for the first 5 years of their married life together, not knowing how much that financial strain is going to have on a very new relationship. So when it comes to giving and receiving gifts, regardless of what the gift is for, what's important to you? And if there were no rules, what would that mean to you? Just notice any kind of fear and judgment or resentment that might be coming up as you start to name what's best for you. We spoke about energetic priorities and energy management, energy hygiene the other day, and just choosing what is a priority for you, the next priority. Not everything on your to-do list, but just the one next thing that you're prioritizing as important for you to do. And remember that believing those voices in your head, stay in your head and your dead, are part of what can create your anxiety. So gosh, again, it comes back to, for me, core desired feelings, your needs. And I spoke about this yesterday. What is it that you want? You have to know what you want in order to be able to ask for what you need. People can't mind read, even though you empaths and HSPs are pretty good at that on an intuitive level. But, where is that out of congruence with what you're asking for and what you're needing being totally opposites? It can be very confusing and very anxiety making, not just for you, but for the people in your life. And it's an indicator always that we likely have unmet needs. And this is a chance to explore your needs and find pragmatic tools and strategies, just like these 12 little days hopefully are giving you, to sufficiently meet your needs within the context of giving and receiving presence, right? Explore your needs beforehand, because that's going to always allow you to create the strategies and the systems for your needs to get met. And that's, of course, going to calm down your nervous system, give you the peace of mind, and reduce any of that sort of anxiety tripping that happens around gift giving and the holidays. So make a list of your needs when it comes to giving and receiving. And some possible needs, for example, could be connection, quality time, as I said, if that's your love language, or space, or creativity, or just appreciation, for the simple things. To know and to be known, to be seen, to be heard, to be listened to. Just think of 2 or 3 ways, that you can take aligned action in your strategy to meet yourself in that need. Another example for me is that when I start to feel really overwhelmed opening presents in front of others and I need more space, I could either ask to open my gift later when I feel more comfortable. Just imagine a beautiful bubble of white loving light around me, like healthy boundaries. We speak about this a lot inside of my programs. But anything that's going to be able to allow you to create safety in your body, right, in your space. And telling yourself, right, it's okay. Just breathe. You're safe. Orienting yourself to the room is another really good way to do that, because oftentimes Christmas time and the holidays can trigger, especially if you come from narcissistic abuse or you're an adult child of an alcoholic parent or some other kind of neglect, or when the holidays are not happy for you, you need to be able to anchor yourself back into your body, feel, so that you can heal it by reassuring your frightened inner child bits that you're okay, you've got this, and that you're creating the own safety that you need. Remember, there's no right or wrong way to navigate what you're feeling right now. And perhaps the most important truth to hold onto right now is that your anxiety, your restlessness, your irritability, your frustration, your anger, whatever it is that's showing up for you, but especially in this sort of worrisome, anxious time of, oh my gosh, I haven't got this one a gift, or I don't know what to give, or, have I given enough, or any of that stuff. Just know that it's not an indicator that something is wrong with you in any way, shape, or form. The whole process from start to finish, it can be overstimulating, and it also comes a lot of the time laden with shame and blame and regret and guilt and should-haves and could-haves and would-haves and expectations and wounds from childhood. So, it's a lot to hold. So just hands on heart right now, can we just all release any projections, rejections, expectations, separations, decisions, judgments, and conclusions about any and all of what gift giving should look like, what Christmas should look like, what the holidays should look like, what family gatherings should look like. Can we just let it all go, return it to the earth for recycling, and just come back to your heart from that space of loving whatever arises, that everything is perfect, whole, and complete, just as it is, even if it doesn't feel like that. You might want to go back to, I think, day 2, where I gave you a lovely meditation really short meditation to just help you to calm your overstimulated nervous system. And maybe you can do some of that beautiful pranayama breathing, the bee humming, remember from day one, just to activate your vagus tone, calm down your nervous system, and get you out of that sort of hyper vigilant fight, flight, or flee response. And just remember, that our culture doesn't make any of this very easy. It doesn't give us space to process any of it very well. And we have become addicted to the buying, giving, keeping, wrapping, exchanging, and all that kind of autopilot stuff that comes with the holidays as a distractor, right? As actually a form of addiction, to bypass the beautiful space of actually getting to know what it is that you want and what you came here to share with others in the world. So just know, any anxiety, including that around giving presents right now, is a beautiful opportunity to just wake up and to choose a different path. Don't go to sleep. I see that so often too around holiday tables, where people numb themselves out by drinking too much or eating too much so that they don't have to absorb all the judgment and the unsaid truths, right? The big elephant in the room that often happens around families and the holidays. So just know, you're connecting into something so much deeper by being present with what is, by giving of your presence to the people that you love the most, and also to look at what your core values are. To me, the best gifts come when I least expect them, and when I give them from a place where there has been no expectation of a gift, and being present in the moment of just allowing myself to fill others up with my time and my attention and my care and my love. And the simple things like, appreciating that we're sitting in front of a beautiful fire, or staring at a sky full of stars, or, standing next to a tree and asking this beautiful ancient mother to just show me the grace and the ease and the glory, and filling myself up with that. Or, crying can fill you up. Dancing can fill you up too. So look at what you're using to fill yourself up in this space of staying present and safely embodied. And just remember that we're all in this together. Nobody's figured it out, and that in a very invisible way, we still don't understand. We're all holding hands right now, and we're all kind of steadying each other across these very vast and tricky thresholds, as the earth shifts on her axis and we feel very off kilter, off balance, and perhaps not as grounded as we need to be. This is a time of great change, and we are the ones that are going to create a new future that is sustainable, not just for us, but for all the beautiful sentience that we share this planet with. And I think that's another one of the greatest gifts of presence that you can give, is just remembering our humanity, to remember that we're all in this together, that we're not alone, and that we can do this. We're doing it. And so I hope you enjoyed day 6. As I said, tomorrow I'm picking up my daughter from the airport really early, so I'm not sure what time I'll be popping in with your 7th gift of the 7 days free little series. And please, if you love these videos, if you're getting value out of them, I'd love to hear your insights, your comments, any questions you may have. And as always, please share this with people that you love, so that they can be in this process of giving and receiving together as we go through these 12 days. Because we need each other. We can't create this in a vacuum. And the more of us that are doing the work, the faster we can affect the change that we want to see in the world, and use our small but mighty hearts and our resources and our time and our love to be that gift, not just to ourselves and our families, but to the greater good of the whole, and certainly to Mother Earth, to the divine, to Gaia. So that's it. Have a beautiful rest of your day wherever you are, and I'll see you back here tomorrow. Bye.